This is the final part of my retrospective on the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy. We already looked back at the first two, and now I get to revisit my personal favourite, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. My love for this game wouldn't exist if not for the previous titles, so don't be surprised if this ends up being the longest video. Stay tuned till the end for a bonus. Let's see if I really do love this game in 2025. Join me for a time-twisting adventure as we look back at Crash Bandicoot Warped. Crash Bandicoot Warped was the third title and final platformer that Naughty Dog would make with Crash. They would of course later make a new platformer called Jak and Daxter, and to this day I have still yet to play any of them. This was the last game in their trilogy that released in 1998. Would it be a strong end? Would it flop? Unlike Crash Bandicoot 2, Warped was a bit more divisive among the community, mostly due to the fact that they started adding vehicles. And yet, I loved it.
It's funny because I remember back when I was younger, a lot of third games in the series just ended up being my favourite. Sonic 3, Spyro the Dragon, Onimusha 3, Budokai 3, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Sly Cooper 3 for a time, and Crash Bandicoot Warped was no different. But I will be the first to admit that I didn't love the vehicles, but they did mostly grow on me. The first time that I played Crash Bandicoot Warped was actually through a PlayStation 1 demo disc. Cool. I remember those days. That's actually how I experienced a lot of different games back in the day. Man, it also reminds me of the days of Blockbusters. And I miss being able to rent games, let me tell you. I miss that a lot. So the demo that I was able to play was Gee Whiz, the 6th level in Crash Bandicoot Warped, and I was amazed as soon as I stepped inside this game. My god, the visuals, man! The sunset look on the medieval themed stage, it looked beautiful, colourful, detailed. Crash felt just like he did in Crash 2, which is perfect because he already felt incredible in that game. I'm looking at the enemies, right? I'm looking at, well, hearing the sound effects and how it brings this level to life. Is even more like, you know, sound effects towards the enemies and various other things and stuff. But you can hear like birds tweeting and such. And I'm like, wow, this level feels so alive. This feels like an incredible Crash Bandicoot level. This game's incredible already and I've only played the first stage. I knew right there and then, this is a game that I was going to replay. This is a demo that I replay over and over and over again because I need this game now. You don't understand. At that moment, that's when I knew this game was something special. Let's talk about booting up the game before we get into the story because it gives me hype every time I play this game. You can hear Cortex and the new villain Uka Uka talking in the background, you know, introducing the game and that. And then you get like this colourful giant box all being like filled up, and then when it breaks open, you see like Crash and Coco on different like vehicles and stuff, just flying out, all these different sound effects. You've got the mask Aku Aku coming out as well, and then you've got this clock spinning around crazy, and it lands on the tree, and then BAM! Bursts out as the title logo, and all you see and hear is Crash Bandicoot Warped with the immaculate music. Oh my god! Wow! Just wow. Wow. Every time I play this game, I am reminded of how fantastic this intro is, this title screen is. I just can't get over how great it was. You know, when you play a game and you enjoy it so much that you don't want it to end, Crash Bandicoot 3 was, and probably still is, that game. I didn't want it to end.
What's it all about this time there, Nate? Continuing from the 100% ending of Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex's space station crashes onto Earth, lands on what seems like a sealed cave. Something with a sinister voice escapes. This mysterious figure flies over Crash and Coco relaxing at home, when Aku Aku explains what has happened. Yeah, so the mask speaks now. Meanwhile, we find out Cortex has been working with none other than Uka Uka, the new villain, the entire time, and that he's been instructed from his prison. How'd he do that? Don't worry about it. What I like about Uka Uka's introduction is that he is immediately built up to be intimidating, foreboding. Even Cortex is scared of him. Uka Uka yells at Cortex for losing the gems and the crystals, but lets him off because, well, he did kinda accidentally free him. It's then that he puts in his new plan into motion, where we get introduced to yet another character, Dr. Entropy. We'll be seeing him later. In Crash's house, Aku Aku tells them about his evil twin brother and that he was the one who imprisoned him long ago, because he tried to take over the world. So this guy is no joke. He has power behind him. Crash and Coco must stop whatever plan he has, so we end up in the Time Twister machine, where Cortex and Uka Uka hatch their plans. They want to travel throughout time to get the crystals that way. Crash and Coco use this to their advantage by getting the crystals before they do. We then get control in the new hub, the Time Twister Warp Room. A grand adventure is about to begin, and I can't wait.
Right off the bat, the story has been set, the tone. A new evil has awakened, a new adventure will follow. Time travel is an interesting concept because it can be done wrong, but in Crash Bandicoot Warped I think it was done right. It is such a great idea for the type of game Crash is because there's really no leeway as to where you can go, places you can see, past, present, future, anywhere in the world that you can go. And it doesn't necessarily have to make sense because again, it's time travel. So it's like, I time traveled, to Egypt, or I time traveled to World War One or whatever, right? It doesn't matter because that's literally time travel. You go anywhere that there might be a crystal or gem or whatever. It's like, you just go here and go there. And I think Crash Bandicoot Warped does a pretty good job at using that idea, taking it, elevating it, and giving us some fantastic levels throughout time and space. And I mean, even the story is pretty great this time around. And the story and the characters and everything is just, And yet, even though the story is a little bit more, I guess, intense, right, with the new villain Uka Uka, we're still going on this whimsical adventure. I mean, you see Crash and Coco sometimes in different costumes, like the biker Crash, and like wearing a plane get up, because you're a pilot and stuff. What is this game, man? Seriously.
New Crash, a new fun journey. The gameplay continues from Crash Bandicoot 2, so the controls are exactly the same. Everything that Crash could do, including slide and belly flop, is here, so you already know it's going to feel great to play. Although this is the case, Crash does get new power-ups after beating a boss. I'll be the first to say that not all of these are the most useful. For example, the first one you get is the Super Belly Flop, which makes Crash spin around in air before slamming down. It increases the radius of the slam, but barely gets used for that. It looks cool though. A more useful power up is simply the double jump. At the top of Crash's jump, press the X button again for a second jump. Double jumps are pretty common these days in 3D platformers, but Crash was one of the earliest games to do it. There's a bit of a timing to it, but once you get used to it, it's very helpful in bridging gaps and reaching boxes high up. Now this one I like because it's silly and it works. The Tornado Spin. Let's take Crash's default spin attack and turn it into a mini tornado that enables Crash to fly in midair for a bit. Or well, glide I guess. Combine this with the double jump, you get some real height. Combine this with the slide jump to the double jump and skip portions of the level for crazy distance. Also, it's still a method of attack. You just mash the square button and the spin lasts a bit longer. Just when I thought breaking boxes couldn't be more satisfying. Next is the Fruit Bazooka. This is another situation that doesn't get used too often, though you can use it anytime with Crash. Press the L2 to aim and circle to fire Wumpa Fruit. This is great for hitting enemies from a distance, boxes including Nitro, and looks so damn cool. It's just a bit impractical. It's a slow weapon, you have to be standing still, so you may not end up using it too often. But regardless, a Fruit Bazooka? I'm still a fan. The final power up you get at the end of the game is the Speed Shoes. Now, Crash can be truly what he was meant to be, a Sonic game. Okay, you don't run that fast, but fast enough to do these new challenges that I will talk about later. Hold R1 while moving and off he goes. That Bandicoot is gone.
If they had kept the abilities, movesets from Crash Bandicoot 2 and that was it, honestly I think the game would have been perfectly fine. But they decided to add to Crash's arsenal of movesets. And in my opinion, it expands on what Crash could do in a positive way. Okay, sure, I do wish that maybe there was a bit more opportunities where the level layout is kind of set up a bit more to use these abilities. But the highlights for me are probably the double jump and the tornado spin. And that combination is really satisfying, like I said, with the slide jumpers as well. The different things you can do, the sort of creativeness, right? Bridging gaps and whatnot. And like the Fruit Bazooka is just so silly, but so much fun. Like it's ridiculous in a good way, right? I just pull this massive bazooka out and just literally shoot fruit, and I mean it does the job, man. It does the job. I mean that's gonna hurt, dude. that hurts, dude. It's just, oh man. And then you've got obviously the speed shoes, and I sort of joke that you can be like Sonic, but you are essentially, in a way, you are speed running levels now. You are running through levels, at least platforming levels anyway, as fast as you possibly can, timing your jumps, trying to get like the perfect route. And it just adds to me a new and exciting way to play. It's a great idea of replayability, right? Because now you're playing the stage again, but in a different way. Incredible.
Some minor changes or new additions include finally having the box tally on the HUD, so you already know how many boxes you need to get. A few sound effects are new or have been replaced, like the checkpoint sound. Enemies actually make more sound this time, since most of them you fight are actually Cortex's henchmen. One new box addition are these timed boxes. They will cycle between question mark, a life, sometimes aku aku, blank, or potential TNT. If you don't act quickly, the box will turn into an iron box so you can't smash. I think this is a creative use of the box mechanic. I welcome this. Adds a bit of tension and you can be rewarded if your timing is correct. For the first time, Crash is not the only playable character. His little sister Coco joins him, albeit in only certain levels, and they aren't platforming levels either. We will get to that real soon. What she does have though is the animal riding levels of the game, a baby tiger named Pura. Unlike Polar, you can hold down the circle button and she will charge really fast. There are sadly only 2 of these. I wish there was at least one more, as they are really fun, set in China on the Great Wall. It's still neat that she's playable, but a bit of a shame she doesn't get any platforming levels. She is relegated to vehicles. I guess it's time to talk about this before I go over the levels in general. What makes this game controversial at times and puts it below Crash Bandicoot 2 for a lot of fans, vehicles of some sort, change in gameplay. Now we had Hog Ride in Crash 1 with the animal riding. There was only 2, but they were fun enough, and you had the hoverboard sections and of course Polar and Crash 2 levels, as I mentioned before, but they are pretty short anyway. Fun, but you're not in the entire stage when it comes to these hoverboards. Crash 3 decided to go full on and give us motorcycle levels, plane levels, jet ski levels for Coco, underwater levels for Crash. This is why some people prefer 2 over 3, because 2 is mostly pure platforming levels as opposed to the gimmicks in 3. And yet, even though the first time I didn't love all of these types of stages, most of them grew on me. My least favourite being the jet ski levels, and even that isn't too bad. It was rough the first time doing the motorcycle levels. It took me a while to get used to the controls, but once I did, it definitely grew on me. I also thought that at the time it was pretty badass seeing Crash in this biker jacket and shades. I mean, there was a literal promotion art of Crash Warped, referencing Terminator, just like the front cover, with Crash on the motorcycle with Coco in her own getup on the back while he holds his bazooka. That's awesome. Terminator 2 is a great movie, by the way. To date how old I am. You race a bunch of Cortex's henchmen to the finish in order to get the crystal. To get the gem, you need to hit all the boxes. The downside though is if you miss one, you have to do the level again. You can't turn around. Only go forward, so what I used to do was get the crystal and then go back for the gem, taking it slow as to not miss a box. At this point, I can actually do most of this without slowing down. Nabbing the crystal and the gem is incredibly satisfying. It feels like you've gotten better at the game. The plane levels are okay, they are simple enough. You shoot down blimps or big planes while avoiding the other planes trying to snipe you out of the sky. You do have a health bar and can refill it by hitting certain balloons. I love the idea that the only way to get boxes in this is to attach them to a balloon, so you'll be seeing them floating around in the stage. You can do a barrel roll if needed to try and avoid some damage, but these are not terribly hard in my opinion. I like them enough. Crash deep dives into these underwater levels. I think there's only 2, so if you aren't a fan, at least you only do it twice. But personally, I enjoy these myself. Arguably the best gimmick / vehicle stage, if we don't count Pura. I mean, you do grab onto this submarine thing, not sure what it is, it's like a jet ski but underwater, and it has a boost on it that breaks boxes, as well as torpedo missiles. Now we're talking. They are a nice mix up from the standard levels. You can still spin at least as the method of attack and going forward, or mash the X button to swim. Okay, the jet ski levels I would say are the longest of the vehicles. Coco will dash around the sea, which honestly is the most open I feel a Crash level has been, going over ramps and doing tricks while picking up boxes. And avoid the hazards like white sharks, bombs, and different enemies, including straight up pirate ships shooting cannonballs. I mean, look at me, I'm on a tiny little jet ski, and you've got a mother of a pirate ship? Hardly fair.
Mostly why I don't enjoy these stages is that I think they just go on too long. The length is a bit much. Now, the concept is okay, but the execution of it is debatable. You know, these are also quite open levels for Crash Bandicoot, right? Which, at least from the classic games, don't really tend to have. It's very, very sort of hallway linear for the most part. You know, either going forward or you might go to the side. Then you go forward. Sometimes you might go backwards, but for the most part, camera's behind you, so you're going that way. So these are open, but you also have like little sections as well, with a bunch of hazards like bombs and such, which can be pretty difficult to dodge, right? You gotta be careful not to put too much speed, right, on your jet ski. And then you've got like issues with like the PlayStation 1's draw distance, because you know, old hardware now, obviously, but like limitations. And sometimes it can be difficult to see boxes, especially because the waves go up and down. Especially this one where it's just a giant circle and the boxes are scattered everywhere, including checkpoints. So you've got to pick things wisely, but also you've got to jump off the ramp and the tricks don't really do anything. They don't really feel that satisfying in my opinion. You gotta line yourself up to get the boxes that are off the ramp, or sometimes dive in. And like I say, because of limitations, sometimes boxes will just kind of pop in. The only saving grace is that you can turn around if you do miss a box. But I understand also that boxes is optional-ish. The original Crash is interesting because in the sense that although these are optional, you are still sort of encouraged to get everything, right? Because there's usually some sort of bonus ending or whatnot, right? You don't have to, obviously, right? You beat Cortex or whatever, that's fine. But there is still like that, hey, there's more you can do right now, and there is kind of something at the end if you do. So these sort of levels are really just very daunting to me. I do like the pirate theme though, right? I do enjoy that. It's just, I don't know. And especially how many levels there are of the jet ski levels, I could have done less of this. That's for sure. Much, much less of this. Despite this though, although the jet ski is kind of like a little bit of a blemish in a way of this game, at least for me. I'm sure there are people that don't mind it, but it doesn't ruin my feelings for Crash Warp. That's just kind of one type of level where it's just kind of like, this is, not the best. I think on a casual standpoint, I think they're fun. When you get everything, which is usually what I do, that's when the marks really start to go down, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to go over here, go over there, go around. I don't want to do this, right? Like, give me another platforming level, please. I don't want to do this. That's when I started to think, but despite that, no, I still love this game. It's not going to ruin how I feel, my experience or anything like that. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's unfortunate, but the rest of the game is just so good that to me it's just like, it's fine, right? It doesn't matter.
With that said, the main levels, my god. Of course, I've already talked about my love for the medieval stages. Just like the previous games, there's different variations. They might be a different time of the day, or there could be rain, so it looks very dull because of the weather. I'll go through each warp area, like Crash 2, and talk about the levels as they come. First area has a castle kinda look to it, and the first stage is Toad Village, the medieval stage. This is your level 1. They tend to be beginner friendly, but they do get a little bit harder. Love them, big fan of the theme, and its music's always a good time. We immediately jump into our first underwater level, Under Pressure. Again, I think these are fun. The controls are fine enough. We have Crash in a scuba gear swimming around hazards, and there's actually from a side view, like some of the levels in Crash 1 and 2. I only wish you could get invincibility underwater, but sadly you can only hold 2 masks. Here comes the first of the 2 animal riding levels, the first Coco stage, Orient Express. Can't go wrong with these, an adorable baby tiger running along the Great Wall of China, avoiding pits, enemies and other obstacles, jumping on ramps to springboard you. You can speed up with circle and charge through barrels. Chinese dragons and decorations. See, this is how cool time travel is in a video game. Because time and space is your oyster, you can go anywhere at any point in time. It's dinosaur time with the prehistoric levels, running through a black swamp being chased by a triceratops while trying not to touch the clumps of lava from the volcano. Jumping over streams so hard it will turn you into ash. Seeing all the large bones with the screeching pterodactyls that can get in your way. What I like about these chase stages is that they have breather moments where you actually turn around and do part of the level like you normally would do any other platformer stage. Mixing things up and just having other dangers to worry about, like these guys hiding in the swamp to creep on Crash and drag him down. A very fun take on the chase levels. Now, I've talked about the jet ski levels and I feel like I don't really have any more to add, so we'll move on to Area 2. Hey look, it's that one level I played over and over, gee whiz. Sunset Medieval, wizards that shoot magic, and depending on the PAL or NTC version, they will either take 2 hits and drop to their pants, or take 1 hit. I guess it's a censorship thing, maybe? A bit of a sword and stone reference with these guys. Toads that actually turn into a prince. The surroundings have decorations and tents, just like a bazaar. Did I mention I love these stages? Did I? Well, alright, let's move on, shall we? It's Arabian Nights time in Hang 'em High. Running around on rooftops like we're Prince of Persia, using mats as trampolines, enemies with scimitars, guys on magic carpets. I'm not sure who this one is, but they think it's a good idea to juggle several pots, and yes, they are an enemy. Scorpions on the climbing apparatuses. This is an aesthetically pleasing level, and I like how we switch from front view to side view while we're always making our way forward. It's one of them motorbike levels, rough at first, but now I find them quite enjoyable. I believe this is very 1950s in America, driving around a highway as Biker Crash. You've got Dingo's Diner in the background, a Sheriff Cortex billboard, gas stations, and cactuses as far as the eye can see. With so many pitfalls, someone should really do something about this road, man. This is not safe to drive on. This level is called Hog Ride, very similar to Hog Wild in Crash 1. Could be a reference, I could see that. Speed boost, which makes you pop a wheelie. If you're skilled enough, you can hold it till the end of the stage, which is just so satisfying to pull off. Driving off ramps to reach boxes or avoid pits, snagging that first place for the crystal. It's off to ancient Egypt next in Tomb Time. That is the ugliest Sphinx I've ever seen. We've got snakes, we've got hieroglyphs, we've got crocodiles jumping out of pits. Wait, how does that work? We've got various traps like crushing walls, large pieces of concrete being dropped. Tar? Is that tar? Or is that oil? Was ancient Egypt known for crazy oil or tar spills? Does add some slippery challenge, it's basically ice physics. Cheeky monkey hiding in pots throwing their poop at you. Lovely. Arrowheads out of walls when you walk under the light. Flamethrowers. Okay, now this is just ridiculous, but it's funny, so I'll allow it. Scarab platforms that fall when you walk over them. This level has it all, and is another great looking level. It's sadly the last of the purer levels with Midnight Run, a slightly more challenging version of the previous level set at night. Way more obstacles in your way and tricky box placements, but outside of the night visuals, which are very nice to look at, don't get me wrong, there's nothing new here. Goodbye Pura, it was fun while it lasted. The last of the prehistoric levels. Or is it? Dynamite is the name, and I do love that pun. Though the first thing you will see isn't dinosaurs, but a fish that looks like Crash, and it spins. Is this legit, or did Cortex make this? But don't worry, we got dinos in the form of a baby Tyrannosaurus. Surprise, it's another animal you can ride, but it's only for a short part of the level, sort of like the hoverboard section in the second game. It's adorable, can jump pretty high, and it doesn't get slowed down by the grass. There is a sort of stream when being chased this time to push you a bit forward, but other than that, it pretty much covers anything new in this level. For now. We're in deep trouble. I get it. Last underwater level. It's a bit more beefy than the first. There's even part of the level that's blocked where you have to backtrack, if you want to get the gem that is. Gotta watch out for the many sharks and turbines that suck Crash in. There's a lot of deaf animations in this game. These waters are a bit too treacherous, so I think it's high time we got out of here. This stuff writes itself. Arabian rooftops, but at night. We got folks dropping petrol bombs, I think, out of their windows for some fiery new hazards while traversing on magic carpets. Now we have enemies throwing scimitars at us. What are they? The Komodo brothers? Wrong game, mate. Love a good nighttime aesthetic. These levels are always a fun platforming challenge. Speaking of challenge, the second bite stage, Road Crash, that actually holds a fun secret that I will talk about later. Another night stage, but not dark enough that we can't see. Got some tricky turns though, and apparently several police cars are just parked in the road as an additional obstacle. Definitely more difficult this time around, but oh so sweeter if your skills nab you the gem and the crystals in one go. Hell yeah! Rain is coming down on Camelot in the last medieval stage, double header. 2 heads, better than 1 with these guys. They're already swinging before I get to them? What do you mean they get a head start? I don't want to lose my head because these guys are ahead of the curb. Okay, that's enough. Wait, don't leave, come back! That's the gimmick for this stage, and we say goodbye to my favorite level. Aw man. Warp Room 4, going for the Egyptian theme, which naturally starts us off in our next Egyptian level, Sphinxinator. Crafty, putting boxes behind the start of the level. 2 pathways, one more treacherous on the left with only nitro boxes. There's not really a reason to go here unless you don't care for the boxes, or you are just curious what's at the end. We got mummies now, this makes sense. I like how they bob around in their sarcophagus first and then they pop out when you spin them. Spear traps and plenty of them. I like the detail in these. If you look carefully, you can see Cortex and his minions are actually a part of the hieroglyphs / drawings on the wall. Bye bye blimps, taking to the skies of the first plane level piloted by Coco. As said earlier on, these are simple but fun enough. They can seem a bit on the long side when you have to scour the skies for these blimps. The sound effects are really satisfying in this one. The cartoony full sound when a plane gets shot down is amazing. Tell no tales, yep, it's that second jet ski stage, and this one is long, especially getting all the boxes. The waves can make it harder to collect them. Again, I don't love these, but it's not enough to hinder my joy for this game. I think on a casual note they're fine. But they did not need to be this long. We visit the past and the future in this game, and the next stage is Future Frenzy at level 19. The future is now with this very colourful neon lit city. It definitely looks like Cortex and his goons have taken over with engineering and technology. Reminds me of the space levels in Crash 2, and is just as tricky I would say. You'll be using all of your abilities, crouching, slamming, double jumping, tornado spinning. This is such a fantastic stage visually for me, and provide a good but fair challenge, since this is introduced in the later half of the game. Wrapping up is one more trip to Egypt. Makes sense with the warp room. Tomb Waiter. Huh, wonder what that's a reference to. This is arguably the hardest of them all, since the stage will occasionally have floods, rising up and lowering. It significantly slows down the pace of the level, having to wait and time your jumps. New enemies such as scarabs, there they are. Mummies and spiked sarcophaguses, okay, and whoever these are holding some sort of marble stone object that just there to just push you back and waste your time. Crash will have to spin these levers to open the doors, but they will shut, so this is on top of watching for the water levels, meaning you need to be patient. I will say one thing, this does make the Egyptian level stand out from the other two. It does change your approach and gameplay. Now whether that's a good thing is up to you. If you are fine with the slower approach or not depends on the player. 5th Warp Room, the technically final at least in terms of the final boss. Taking on the future theme for this one, Gone Tomorrow. Let's elevate Future Frenzy. It's time to use our newly acquired bazooka for some target practice. You can spin these big robots, but I also like to use the fruit gun. This stage is a great use of this weapon since there are boxes you can only reach by shooting them. Conveyor belts aplenty, laser gates, everything from the previous stage, just more, and you can just make it out. It's a sunset in the sky. Very nice. Speaking of sunsets, it's Orange Asphalt, our next bike level. Now the police are moving back and forth to really get in your way? Who's driving these things? Is it just Cortex's minions? The hardest box placement thus far. I usually let go of acceleration for tight turns. You have passion, but do you have flaming passion? It's one more stroll across the rooftops at night, now with different coloured magic carpets. 8% more flame, 100% more danger. It was fun while it lasted. Crash gets in on the sky action with mad bombers. Now this one will require a bit more skill as the planes are harder to take down than the blimps since you have to aim for their propellers each side. Plus the enemies seem way more accurate hitting you, a tough challenge for the second time we are in a plane. This game really likes the Egyptian setting with the final level of the warp room, Bug Light, taking a page out of Crash 2 with the Firefly gimmick. We do get to run outside, which is pretty cool, however it's mostly pitch black inside, so we have to rely on a small light once again. Same traps, thankfully no water this time, just hard to see. There's even what I call a victory lap for beating all of the main stages, where they just give you free masks for some invincibility blasting through some nitros. There we have it, that's all 25 stages in this game. What's that? Am I missing some? Oh right, the extra levels for fully completing the game, just like Crash 2. I'll come back to them.
In terms of what we got with Crash Bandicoot 3 in levels, I honestly think for the most part, it's the peak of the franchise. Now, my little bias is like, you know, it would be nice to have like maybe like a snow stage or something somewhere, but I know they're in Crash 2. You know, it could even just have like a stage that's already in the game, but it's like, hey, snow's falling now, right? Or something like that, right? I would take away some of the like vehicle stuff, maybe like take like one or two away the jet ski, right? Maybe even one of the motorcycle stages. Put like another purer stage, I think. Just put 3. Right, we could have like maybe because we got day and midnight, maybe get like a sunset or something, or sunrise sort of look at the Great Wall of China, because those are fun. And then I would have one more platforming stage, whatever that might be, maybe another dino stage or something. But that's what I would do personally to make the game a bit more sort of balanced between platforming vehicles, because let's be honest, for most people the vehicles are the weakest part, including myself. Although I probably defend them a bit more than others, I will admit that, yeah, most of the fun to me does come from the platforming. So I think there needs to be a bit more balance and a bit more favoritism personally. But I understand it was kind of the gimmick of the third game.
Before we get into what it takes to get 105%, yes, even though you only need 100%, you can get 105% in this game. I would like to discuss the villains and how much better they are than, well, all 3 games. Once again, we have a mixture of returning and new foes to face. First one into the arena, or Colosseum I should say, is Tiny in Rome. This whole setup is really cool, acting like a Roman gladiator while Cortex thinking he's Caesar sitting on his throne. As you progress through the game, you will be confronted with holograms of the villains in the game, telling you not to get the crystals or face their wrath. A little bit of a build up and you know quickly who the boss is of the area. With Tiny, he jumps after you like 2, but this time he can't fall to his death, so he tries to impale Crash with a fork. Not too hard since it is the first boss. When he gets his fork stuck, you spin into him. The actual tough part is when he releases the lions. If you're not careful, Crash will get gobbled up as a lion dinner. Though I best bring this up since it is in the game. There is an exploit by standing in the top left corner where they can't get you. Now this is an exploit, so new players probably won't do this, but if you ever struggled with the lions, know that there is an easy solution. Now, in the Insane Trilogy, they removed it and have the crowd throw cheese at you to get you out of the corner. It's funny because it goes to show the devs are 100% aware of this. The instruments used for the remix of Tiny's theme is so good. A solid first boss. It's time for a new foe in Dingo Dial. Half dingo, half crocodile, and has a mean flamethrower. It's funny because the only snow in this game is his boss fight. He's got some pretty good lines, I must say.
Break out the butter. I'm gonna make toast.
Honestly, a great second boss. He has a barrier around and he will shoot fire droplets raining above to take Crash out. He then follows up with full blasting you with his flamethrower. But it also breaks his barrier, giving you the opportunity to attack him instead of his fuel to explode. And man, that explosion. How is this guy alive? And you do this 3 times, by the way. If you are already moving, sometimes he will mix you up by firing the opposite way to try and catch you. Man, his theme is one of my favorite tracks in this whole game. So catchy. Of course, there's another exploit for players who know how to do the slide spin jump. It can launch Crash over his barrier so you don't need to wait. Fantastic character, incredible boss fight, gets high marks from me. Time is not on your side when you are against the Time Lord himself, Dr. Nefarious Tropy, who is responsible for the Time Twister enabling time travel. I like his design, the use of clocks and metal magnet hands. Uka Uka's trusted ally. If something bad happens to him, well, what will happen to his machine? You're gonna get some use out of that double jump here. He shoots these orbs that follow you a bit, so you have to switch from jumping to crouching. He will toss laser fences at you from each side, distorting platforms that you have to jump on to reach him. I really like that each time you hit him, it's like you end up in a different era in time. Makes sense considering who you are facing. Once you clean his clock, why does anyone watch me? Uka Uka confronts you in a panic, in which Cortex follows up with Entropy being defeated. They have lost control of the time machine, and it's now unpredictable. I'm sure it's fine. Warp Room 4 is home to the return of Engine. All I can say is this: if he was the best fight in Crash 2, he's also the best fight in Crash Warped, man. In fact, he might be my favourite, not just from all 3, but the entire franchise. Crazy, I know. This right here one-ups the first encounter by making it a space battle and having Coco pilot her own ship. She is a tech person, so it makes sense. It's an all-out space battle against Engine's latest mech, while he tosses missiles, fires a blooming Gatling gun on his arm, slowly dismantling him and blowing the missiles away on the freaking moon, man. This set piece is incredible. This is only phase 1. Oh no, he's not done. He's like a transformer. He shifts into his next space mech with a huge artillery, missiles galore, electric orbs, whatever this is, but it takes a while to get rid of, and mind you, if any of this hits you, it's taking chunks out of your life. All the while the new Engine theme is playing in the background. My god, I love this boss! If you somehow manage to survive his onslaught, there's only one fight that remains: Cortex and Uka Uka.
It's funny how history repeats itself. Yet again, Engine has failed to defeat you. For this we must destroy you! Oh, my aching head. I'm not feeling myself these days. So the end is in sight. Gather another 5 crystals, and again you will have foiled my plan. Or will you?
Now, Cortex has been a bit of a hit and miss in terms of the 2 previous fights. Crash 1 was decent, but Crash 2 was an absolute joke. But he's joined by a powerful mask of his own this time, Uka Uka. Since our journey through this game, Uka Uka has been a constant presence. Cortex is one thing, but this mask has been built up to be intimidating and not a joke. Even Aku Aku, his brother, warns the player that he's not to be underestimated.
Crash, Coco, remember, it is not only Dr. Cortex that we battle. Beware of Uka Uka, my children. He is a far more dangerous enemy than anyone can imagine.
He's far more dangerous than Cortex. I really like this because you've got this genius scientist who's also a goofball working for an actual evil deity with real earth-shattering powers, but has no choice to rely on Cortex's help since he, well, is still just a mask. You can tell he does not respect Cortex whatsoever, but sometimes he just jumps on his face and talks through him without consent, as opposed to when Crash picks up Aku Aku. It's a great dynamic. Considering we ruined their plans yet again, you could say they are pretty peeved. And so it's the masks and then Crash and Cortex. The masks will be duking it out and you have to avoid their conflict while also waiting for an opportunity for Cortex to drop his guard, since he has a barrier up. When he starts dropping bombs is when you can attack him, but be quick, you have to keep spinning him into the hole to damage him before he recovers. Uka Uka rescues him and the masks go at it again. In the next phase they start spinning around the arena, making it even harder to avoid. But in terms of what Cortex does, he's pretty much the same. He will occasionally shoot projectiles at you, and you just have to wait for him to drop his bombs. Final phase, they will home into your location and create an explosion. Honestly, a pretty fun final boss to end our journey. I love the music here too. Send Cortex down the hole one last time for victory, and the end cutscene.
Defeated again! This is not fair! Maybe I should retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
It's not over, Bandicoot. There are still the gems. We still have a chance to triumph.
Oh right, there's still the gems, of course. Guess it's not quite over yet. We've been collecting the crystals just like the second game, and now to get at least 100% and the true ending, we once again require the gems. Same format from the second game. You'll either have to find them, get all the boxes, or take on the Skull Path challenge and be rewarded with either a clear gem or a coloured gem. It's great for replayability because you get to explore parts of the level you hadn't already, assuming this is your first time playing, and you aren't trying to get everything as you go as optimal as possible. However, there is one new collectible introduced in this game, the relics. Once you have beaten a stage, you can replay it where you have the option to take on a time trial. You must beat the clock as fast as possible to be rewarded with either a sapphire, gold, or platinum relic. Platinum being the highest rarity, so the most difficult to get. To make this easier, some of the crates become time crates. Each number freezes the clock for that many seconds. 1, 2, and 3 seconds being the highest, so you want to break many time crates. These relics are required for 100%, but you only need to get the sapphire. You tend to do these after you get the last ability so that Crash can dash around the platform levels. Yet another way to play the game, having to rush through previous stages to get the best time. These can be fun, maybe not so much if you want to get that platinum, but I do like a challenge. The relics are not just for collection's sake, you need them to unlock the final warp room. With every 5 relics you unlock a level in the 6th warp room, hidden beneath. Similar to the second game, there are new levels as well as previous ones you return to. They are only for the gems and more relics. Level 26 is our third jet ski level. Nothing we really haven't seen before other than the ocean having like a red light glow over it. I suppose it's kind of like a sunset sort of thing, maybe because of the volcano. Level 27 is really just a different section of Hang 'em High. This is how we get the yellow gem in that stage. Level 28 is the 4th and final bike level, Area 51. I guess they really like the bike levels in this game. The most difficult of them all, probably. Pitch black with only small pockets of light from Crash's bike and objects in the distance. Having to avoid cop cars and pits in this one can be rough. Not to mention racers are now UFOs and they are pretty large. You may end up smacking into them. longest of the bike stages, and yet I still quite enjoy it. Boxes are a pain, I will admit. That's the last of these ones done. We return to Future Frenzy to get both gems, as there are boxes in the other part of this level. This might be the worst for backtracking, as they put you halfway through the stage, meaning there's quite a bit to go back to. The last of the 6th warp room is sadly not a platform stage, but a plane level. A little different this time though, we aren't shooting things down, we are racing other planes. The name Rings of Power is a reference to Naughty Dog's previous game. This sort of reminds me of Spyro the Dragon's Speedway levels, but I think they control better in those games. You have to go through the rings and get first place for a gem. Knocking the box with balloons nabs you the second, and of course there's the relic. In order to pick up speed, you must spin into a ring. However, it makes it pretty hard to control, so you have to pick wisely when to spin and not to. I guess at least it's a different take on the plane level, but I feel like they should have ended with a platform level personally. Once you have completed all levels, including the ones from the 6th warp room, you must face Cortex and Uka Uka one last time. Unfortunately, there's nothing new here, the exact same boss, but we are treated to a different end cutscene where the time machine goes unstable and traps Cortex, Uka Uka and Dr. Entropy in time, somewhere in the past it looks like. Oh, and it also affected them itself because it reverted them into babies, so that's fun. Many years later, Crash 4 would actually continue from this, with them being fully grown again. But that's Crash Bandicoot 100% complete. But it's not 105%. So what do we do about that, huh? Remember how in Crash 2, to unlock the secret levels, you needed to find these hidden teleporters in a level? Well, Crash Warped also has 2 hidden teleports, taking you to 2 more bonus levels. Now, one of these points is a bit more obvious than the other, so let's start with that. You may or may not have noticed when going through Road Crash that there's a random alien sign early on. It's the only one you will see, there's no other in any part of the level or any of the other stages. You've never had a reason to really smack into a sign, but this one, well, that's where the teleport is. You'd think maybe this level would be an alien or a space theme, nope, instead it's another jet ski level. Why man, why did it have to be another one of these? Come on! My least favourite in fact, maybe the worst level in the game, Hot Cocoa. You have a box gem and a relic to collect here. The problem is, using this teleport is the only way to access this level, and yes, you have to do the box gem and relic separately. You drive around a massive circle, since the end of the level is actually at the start, but it's blocked by nitro, so you need to go and find the nitro detonator in the level. Boxes scattered everywhere, bombs from every corner, the waves constantly going up and down, making it annoying because you'll go off a ramp and miss the box because the waves were too high. This is the worst for draw distance, since checkpoints are all over the place and you don't want to get one early in case you die and can't find another one after collecting so many boxes. After replaying this stage, I now remember how much of a pain the relic can be. It's all about knowing the right route and where the time boxes are, so it's a lot of trial and error, since we do need to get gold to get 105%. I don't like this level. Could have gave us anything other than this. It's such a shame for it to be one of the secret levels. But all is not lost. There's one more level and it's much better, but I would say it's less obvious in how you find it. The only way I can imagine anyone discovering this is by complete accident, since there's no indication that it could lead you to another level. These pterodactyls, usually you lose a life if they grab you, they take Crash away and probably becomes lunch. For some reason, they thought it would be a good idea to hide a level with one of them. First, you need the yellow gem, which at this point should have, and take the yellow platform. During the chase, there will be 3 pterodactyls in a row, but the second is the only one that will take you to a hidden level within the stage, Egopus Rex. There is no sign at all that this wouldn't just result in you losing a life. It is really hidden. Once you do hit your ride, however, and it drops you in a side view stage where you ride Baby T. Well, you don't have to, but the level is designed around Baby T's huge jumps, so it's easier. This one's, it's alright, much better than Hot Cocoa, that's for sure, scaling up until you find the exit and more Baby T. What's not to love? 1 relic and 1 gem. And I have to remember that you do need to get the gold relic here and for every other stage. So if you haven't gotten the gold relic at this point for all the other stages, that is required to at least put you up to 104%. But it's not 105%. What could possibly be left? Speaking of out of left field, guess who has the last gem? Coco. Why? I don't know, but she does, and will only give it to you once you have done everything else in this game. If you walk up to her next to the save machine, she just drops the last gem, accompanied by fireworks. We've finally hit 105% complete. You only do 105% though if you are like me and love the game and want to fully complete it, but 100% is required for at least the true ending, which is still mostly everything in the game.
They extend Crash 3 by giving us more collectibles. Now, this can either be a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it just sort of depends on the player. I mean, for me personally, I don't mind it, right? Because again, I like the game so much that I'm like, hey man, I got more to do. Keep it coming. Like there's more to do. Like let's go, right? I'm here for it. But I can also understand how some people might think, well, honestly, the crystals and the gems are more than enough, man. We're already collecting like 40 plus gems and 25 crystals or whatever, right? That's perfectly fine. So it kind of depends, obviously, per player. You know, say for me, I don't mind it, but some other people might be like, were relics really necessary? Maybe not. But I personally welcome it.
What a journey though, the longest out of the 3 for sure. And although there are some bumps in the road, I still adore this game as my favourite of the entire franchise. Some games tried to recreate Warped, or at least that feel, but in my opinion, they never did. Can't forget the soundtrack of the game. For example, the Warp Room theme is incredibly catchy, and it caught on so much they kept bringing it back in remixes for other Crash games. With that said, here are some of my personal favourite tracks of the game. Enjoy!
Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped for me is still the best, I would say. It has its problems, right? And I can understand why most people probably prefer Crash 2. Crash 3 was the third game where they wanted to be a bit gimmicky. They wanted to mix some things up with vehicles, planes, motorcycles, jet skis, and whatnot, right? But I can also see why some people obviously don't like that and felt like that kind of brings the game down significantly because they just want to play the platforming stages. And that's where Crash 2 comes, because it is mostly pure platforming outside of the two jetpack levels, and you know, there's like little bits where you're on the hoverboard. And I think most people excuse the animal riding levels like Polar because they're honestly just really fun. Like they're the most fun out of the quote unquote vehicle, you know, riding stages, right? When you're riding something. The strong points for Crash 3 are presentation, boss fights, abilities, new abilities, the levels, characters, story, music. There's a lot of things that I feel like Warped does really well. Even though Crash 2, I would probably admit, is the better game. My bias aside, because I still love Crash 3 as the better game, and don't get me wrong, I think Crash 3 and Crash 2 are both neck and neck in terms of a lot of people's favorites, and we're not going to talk about Crash 4. Not right now, anyway. Not right now. But I think Crash 2 is probably just kind of like the better in-between game, because Crash 1 is too difficult. Crash 3 has kind of the vehicles, which a lot of people don't like. And Crash 2 is kind of like that middle ground, right? I think the only thing with Crash 2 is maybe it could have done with a little bit more variety, and the boss fights could be better, because the boss fights and the story kind of okay, right? The story's okay, the boss fights are the weakest part of it. But everything else is perfectly fine.
This would be the final game in the trilogy from Naughty Dog. And yet they had one more surprise with the Orange Marsupial. A farewell game, you could say, giving Universal the middle finger as they leave. It wasn't a platform game, but a kart racer inspired by Diddy Kong Racing specifically. Probably my personal favourite kart racer out of the ones I've played. Crash Team Racing. I am definitely going to be covering this game, but it deserves its own video, and this one has gone on long enough. Let me know if you've made it thus far by commenting #CTR, and no cheating because I will know. Stay tuned for my Crash Team Racing bonus video, but for now we say goodbye to the classic Crash trilogy. When we return, I'll look at the remake version, the Insane Trilogy, but that won't be for a while yet. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and click on the next one for more. I'll see you in the next one.